still a few people play baroque instruments, but for early music groups, they sound much sweeter, much nicer instruments. Gut strings, they don't use chin rests on them. They're much nicer, much lighter instruments than a modern fiddle. Of course, a lot of the tools as well, like this, you know, the odd things I make myself, you know, and knives and stuff, you know, like just get a bit of steel and for cutting sound holes and things like that, you know. They're just handmade, and then the holding jigs and stuff like that, you know. I do that myself as well. But yeah. I think I can start using the punch on this now. But you've got to do all this in sort of conjunction. You see, I'm doing this hollowing, but I have to always cut the sound holes out rough to start with, because this part here is fluted. You know, this is lowered and fluted, blended into the arch. You know, and so I always have to be mindful of that. You know, if I start thicknessing, hollowing it out, and then make this bit too thin, you know, and then the whole thing is sort of like, you know, I work it from inside and outside. Eventually, I'll get finishing and scraping, you know, with the scrapers, finishing the whole thing. Which they call it a scraper, this tool, but they're the best tools, wonderful tools. Basically, they're actually cutting tools. You know, they're taking shavings off rather than scraping. You know, I mean, a scraper's like a thing for scraping paint off.
How long does it take you to make a fiddle?
Oh God, I don't know. I've heard people saying 100 hours, but that doesn't mean anything to me. I live a kind of timeless life, you know, really. 7 days a week, every day's a weekend. You put a bar on it, and it finishes much cleaner. It's a cutting tool. You know, the sandpaper. If you use sandpaper to finish, it's score. You know, under a microscope you can see it's just basically it's just an abrasive. But a scraper is a simple little tool, but it's a cutting tool. It's taking off little shavings. Find a little odd sound post, and I can give you a show. So there's a sound post, spiked onto this sound post, and you have to poke it through the sound hole. And it has to go in a particular position, but you have to adjust. Adjustment is finding the actual optimum position, but normally it's behind the bridge and maybe a millimetre or so inside the foot of the bridge. And then you can adjust it with this thing from either side, tap it, and there it is.
Yeah,
The fitting of the sound post is crucial to the sound of the instrument, and the tightness of it. You know, if it's too tight, it'll dampen the sound. If it's too loose, it'll fall down at the slightest thing. And what happens eventually, once an instrument's been strung up, after a while, under the string tension, the instrument finds its own shape. The sound post itself might shrink, and eventually, you know, after a month or so, I usually put another sound. So I always keep an instrument for at least a month after it's strung up, and put another sound post in. Just a bit of slight wear, because I think old things, like old people, they look better than new looking things. You know? I think. Peg. The stem of the peg is almost shaped to fit the reamer. The reamer and the peg have the same taper. So first of all, you shape the peg in this thing like a pencil sharpener, and then ream the peg hole to that taper.
No, that's too much. That's it. That's it. That's lovely when you do it. That's it. Lovely.
And then the peg goes into this slot and fits, turns perfectly. And it's held. It doesn't slip. It doesn't. It turns easily. When you put a bit of graphite or something on the peg just as a lubricant, but that's it's a functional tool basically. It's an instrument. The shape of the sound holes of the C bouts here are to sort of facilitate the movement of the bow. The scroll, you could say, can be used. It's decorative, but it also can be used to sort of hang the instrument on a string. The purfling is decorative around the edge, but it also it's just 3 layers of veneer sort of set into the thing. But it also, if the instrument gets a dent on a table, it stops the split travelling beyond the edge. Yeah.
That's good. And
J.B. Addis, his name was, and Sons. I didn't know he had sons, but I thought he was a one-man band. He made all these instruments in a small workshop in Sheffield, and he won 10 prize medals. But they're beautiful tools. The steel is so good. They keep an edge so well, and they're so beautifully balanced, so beautifully made. You can hold them like a pen. You can work them like this, and they just never get blunt. That's what I like about them. Don't have to sharpen them. Yeah, but they compared to sort of modern tools, you get some good modern tools, but they all tend to, as I told you before, they all tend to have the same size handles on them, and I identify them by the handles. You know, they're battered old handles, and I know I recognise a tool. I pick them up and I call them my babies. Yeah, I see in the shadows rather than direct light. You know? Yeah.
you think the light's really important for making instruments?
Yeah. And you know, when the sun comes around here in the evenings, sometimes, you know, when I'm starting to feel hungry around about tea time, and I don't. So sometimes I don't eat till about 10 o'clock at night because I don't want to waste the light, you know, because the light is coming through and it's really beautiful, and it's like painters, you know, they go crazy about light, don't they?